I stood at the window of my kitchen, watching the bustling street below. Chicago was alive with energy, the vibrant colors of art festivals splashing across the sidewalks. I could hear laughter and music, a reminder of the life I once felt so connected to. But now, all I sensed was a dull ache in my chest, an emptiness that seemed to grow with each passing day. My husband, Mark, was in the living room, engrossed in his work as usual. He had a way of disappearing into his own world, leaving me to navigate mine alone. The routine of our marriage felt like a heavy blanket, smothering any spark that might have existed between us. We rarely talked about anything meaningful anymore. Our conversations revolved around mundane topics, what to have for dinner or who needed to pick up groceries. I longed for connection, for someone who understood the complexities of my heart. Then one evening, as I was scrolling through my phone, I stumbled upon an advertisement for an art festival in Paris. The images were captivating, vibrant paintings splashed across canvas, street performers captivating crowds with their talent. My heart raced at the thought of wandering through galleries and sipping coffee at quaint cafes along the Seine. It felt like a dream, a chance to escape my reality. "Why don't you go?" Mark said casually one night after dinner when I mentioned the festival. "You could take Jake with you." Jake was my stepson, just 23 and full of youthful enthusiasm. He had always been more like a friend than a son to me, someone I could talk to about art and life without judgment. But taking him on a trip like this felt strange. It was unconventional and risky. "Are you serious?" My voice wavered between excitement and anxiety. "Why not?" "You both love art," he replied without looking up from his laptop. "It might be good for you." I hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at me. The idea of traveling with Jake stirred something deep within, a mix of excitement and apprehension that left me breathless. I envisioned strolling through cobblestone streets together, sharing laughter over pastries while exploring hidden galleries. But what would that mean? A trip like this could change everything. As the days passed leading up to our departure, I found myself oscillating between anticipation and dread. What if this trip opened doors I wasn't ready to face? Yet part of me craved it, the thrill of adventure and stepping outside my comfort zone. Finally, we boarded the plane bound for Paris. The moment we took off into the sky, I felt a surge of freedom wash over me. Maybe this would be a turning point. Perhaps it would help me rediscover who I was before marriage took hold of my spirit. Upon landing in Paris, we were greeted by an intoxicating blend of aromas, freshly baked baguettes mingled with rich coffee wafting from nearby cafes. The city pulsated with life. Street performers danced under twinkling lights while artists showcased their work along the Seine's edge. As Jake and I wandered through narrow streets filled with charming boutiques and galleries, laughter flowed easily between us, a stark contrast to the silence that had settled over my home life back in Chicago. We shared stories about our favorite artists and debated over which painting spoke to us most deeply. "Look at this one," Jake said excitedly as he pointed toward an abstract piece that seemed to pulse with emotion. "It's beautiful," I replied genuinely, feeling a warmth spread through me as our eyes met briefly. But even amidst this joy, shadows lingered at the edges of my mind. Thoughts about Mark and our stagnant marriage crept in uninvited. How could I enjoy this freedom when it meant leaving behind so much? One afternoon while we strolled along the Seine's banks bathed in golden light, Jake turned serious as he glanced at me from beneath his dark hair. "I've been thinking about family expectations," he confessed quietly. "It's hard sometimes, feeling like you don't fit into what everyone wants." His vulnerability struck a chord within me. Here was someone grappling with their own struggles, someone who understood what it meant to feel trapped by obligations. "I get that," I admitted softly, surprised by how easily those words flowed out. We shared more than just thoughts on art. We began peeling back layers that revealed our insecurities, exposing raw emotions that had long been buried beneath societal norms and expectations. Later that evening, as twilight descended upon Paris like velvet draping over an old painting, we found ourselves standing on one of its iconic bridges overlooking shimmering waters below. In that moment, suspended between dusk and nightfall, something shifted between us. A connection forged through shared experiences and unspoken desires hung thick in the air around us. Before either of us could think twice about it, or maybe because we didn't want to, I leaned closer until our lips brushed together softly against all reason or logic. Panic surged through me immediately afterward as reality crashed down like thunderclaps echoing across stormy skies above. The implications were staggering. What had we done? I pulled away abruptly. Confusion clouded my mind while guilt clawed at my insides fiercely enough to make breathing difficult again. What just happened? Jake stammered breathlessly as he stepped back from me slightly, his expression mirroring both exhilaration and fear all at once. I don't know, came out shakily from my lips despite every ounce urging caution instead. The thrill quickly faded into worry as doubts crept back in. Was this trip worth risking everything? With each passing hour since then weighed heavily upon each heartbeat, reminding us both how quickly things were changing, and how fragile those changes felt against looming shadows waiting back home. The Seine glimmered under the Parisian sun, its surface reflecting a tapestry of light and shadow. I walked alongside Jake, our footsteps echoing softly against the cobblestone path. Each moment felt charged, as if the city itself conspired to weave our lives into something more than mere family ties. "Can you believe we're actually here?" Jake said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. He was young, vibrant, full of dreams that seemed to dance just out of reach. "Not really," I replied, forcing a smile while suppressing the weight of my thoughts. The bustling energy around us was intoxicating yet suffocating at the same time. My mind flickered back to Chicago, the mundane routine that awaited my return, and I felt an ache deep within me. As we strolled past charming cafes and art galleries, I tried to immerse myself in the beauty surrounding us. The scent of fresh croissants wafted through the air, mingling with laughter and chatter from nearby tables. Yet, my heart remained heavy with uncertainty about what this trip meant for both of us. We paused at a small bridge overlooking the river. A couple nearby shared a tender kiss, their joy palpable in the air. I turned away quickly, feeling a pang of longing for something that had long eluded me, a connection beyond family obligations. Jake leaned against the railing, gazing out over the water. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. "Just life," I murmured, avoiding his gaze. The truth was too complicated to articulate. He looked at me with an intensity that made my heart race unexpectedly. "You know you can talk to me about anything." I chuckled lightly but felt a rush of warmth at his words. "I appreciate that. But what would I say? That I felt trapped? That my marriage felt like a distant memory?" We resumed walking in silence, each step heavy with unspoken words and feelings swirling beneath the surface. As we approached another bridge adorned with flowers and love locks, symbols of promises made, I felt an urge to share more than just casual conversation. "Have you ever thought about what you want in life?" Jake asked suddenly, breaking through my reverie. His question hung in the air like an invitation to explore deeper waters together. I hesitated but finally replied, "Sometimes it feels like I'm just going through the motions." Jake nodded thoughtfully as we leaned against another railing overlooking the Seine's gentle flow below us. "I get that." His voice was low and serious now. "I feel pressure too, like everyone expects something from me." It was refreshing to hear him express vulnerability. It reminded me that youth carried its burdens as well. In that moment, everything else faded. The city's noise disappeared into a muted background hum as we stood there together. Then it happened. Our eyes locked for what felt like an eternity, a moment suspended in time where everything shifted imperceptibly yet profoundly between us. We kissed, echoed through my mind like a bell tolling in warning yet enticingly sweet all at once. In a flash of spontaneity fueled by emotions bubbling just beneath our surfaces, Jake leaned closer until our lips brushed against each other softly, an innocent spark igniting amidst uncertainty and confusion filling every corner of my heart. Panic surged through me as reality crashed back in. How could we let this happen? My breath caught in my throat while regret threatened to envelop us both instantly. "What just happened?" he whispered after pulling away slightly, his face flushed with surprise mirroring mine. "I don't know," I stammered awkwardly before stepping back instinctively as if creating distance would somehow erase what had transpired between us moments ago. The air thickened with tension, doubts flooded my mind again. What did this mean for our trip? For our lives back home? "I didn't mean to," he began hesitantly but faltered under my gaze filled with confusion mixed with something else entirely, an undeniable thrill that left me breathless yet terrified simultaneously. "I think we should just enjoy Paris," I said finally, trying to navigate this new territory without losing myself completely in it or him either, a delicate balance teetering on an edge neither one knew how to navigate gracefully yet still wanted desperately all at once. As we resumed walking along the Seine's banks again after lingering uncertainty hung heavy between us like fog rolling off water's surface, it became increasingly difficult not to glance sideways toward him every few moments wondering if he felt it too, the pull drawing us closer even when logic screamed otherwise. Every sight became imbued with potential meaning. Each street corner held secrets waiting patiently for discovery while shadows loomed larger behind every smile exchanged between strangers passing by unaware of our internal struggles unfolding quietly beneath their feet. The day slipped away gradually into dusk, colors painted across sky blending beautifully above us reminding me how fleeting moments could be, and how quickly they could change everything forevermore. But still lurking beneath excitement lay guilt gnawing away relentlessly at edges. What would happen when we returned home? Would this be nothing more than a beautiful memory fading quickly into oblivion? "Are you okay?" Jake asked, suddenly breaking through spiraling thoughts consuming me again while glancing sideways curiously observing expression carefully etched across my face now clouded by myriad emotions wrestling silently within. "Yeah," I replied too quickly realizing it wasn't entirely true but needing reassurance perhaps more than anything else right then amidst swirling chaos surrounding both internally-externally alike. A sudden gust blew past us causing hair strands escape confinement framing faces revealing vulnerability hidden carefully behind walls built over years spent nurturing relationships bound by duty rather than desire. In those moments shared together exploring Parisian streets filled laughter joy tenderness blossoming among chaos unfolding around us, we began uncovering layers previously buried deep down inside searching desperately for connection lost somewhere along way back home. As darkness descended upon city lights flickering on illuminating paths ahead guiding steps forward into unknown territory filled possibilities endless adventures waiting patiently beckoning forth courage embrace whatever came next regardless consequences. Looming overhead threatening always remain unseen shadows lurking nearby ready strike when least expected. The air was thick with the scent of pastries and fresh coffee as we strolled along the Seine. The soft glow of streetlights shimmered on the water, creating a magical ambience that wrapped around us like a warm embrace. Each step felt lighter than the last, and for the first time in years, I allowed myself to breathe deeply, letting go of the weight that had anchored me back home. Jake walked beside me, his youthful energy infectious. He pointed out artists painting along the riverbank, their canvases capturing moments of life in vibrant colors. I chuckled at his enthusiasm, it reminded me of my own lost passion for art. As we paused to admire a particularly striking piece, our shoulders brushed together, sending an unexpected thrill through me. "Do you think they'll sell it?" Jake asked, tilting his head thoughtfully. "Maybe," I replied, glancing at him. "But it's not always about selling. Sometimes it's just about creating something beautiful." He nodded slowly, absorbing my words as if they held more meaning than just art. I could see the wheels turning in his mind, his own struggles with family expectations mirrored in my reflections on life. It was a connection I hadn't anticipated but welcomed nonetheless. As we continued walking, we approached the Eiffel Tower, its iron lattice structure standing tall against the night sky. The sight was breathtaking. It felt surreal being here with Jake, sharing this moment that seemed plucked from a dream. My heart raced as we stood beneath its towering presence. "Can you believe we're actually here?" he asked, awe evident in his voice. "No," I admitted softly. "It feels unreal." He turned to face me fully, our eyes locking in a way that made my breath hitch. The world around us faded into a blur. The bustling tourists and distant sounds of laughter melted away until it was just him and me standing under this iconic symbol of romance. And then it happened, our lips met. A fleeting brush that ignited something deep within me. It wasn't just physical, it was an emotional awakening that sent shockwaves through my very core. I pulled back sharply, panic flooding my senses as reality crashed back down like a wave. "What did we just do?" I whispered, my voice barely audible above the city's hum. Jake looked equally startled but unrepentant. "I don't know," he replied honestly, his eyes searching mine for answers neither of us had. Guilt washed over me like cold water splashing against sun-warmed skin. What were we doing? This wasn't just some innocent flirtation, it was crossing an invisible line that would change everything back home, everything between us. I shouldn't have. My voice trailed off as uncertainty loomed large over us like an ominous cloud threatening rain. Jake stepped closer again, his hand brushing against mine, a gesture both innocent and charged with unspoken tension. "I didn't mean to make things weird," he said softly. "It's not weird," I protested weakly while feeling every bit of its weight settle heavily on my shoulders. "But we can't." Before I could finish my thought, a stranger bumped into me from behind, a man who appeared lost in his own world as he hurried past without even glancing back at us. The collision broke our momentary spell and sent Jake stepping back instinctively. "Sorry," he called after the man who disappeared into the crowd. I felt disoriented by what had just happened, the kiss lingering on my lips like an echo refusing to fade away completely. It wasn't just about one impulsive moment, it was about everything else, the yearning for connection that had been absent for far too long and now threatened to consume me whole. We resumed walking slowly along the Seine once more, silence stretching between us like an unbridgeable chasm filled with doubt and confusion about what lay ahead. "Have you ever thought about what you want?" Jake asked suddenly after several moments passed without either of us speaking. I shot him a sideways glance but didn't answer immediately, instead pondering how best to articulate feelings swirling inside me like leaves caught in autumn winds, chaotic yet beautiful all at once. My voice faltered as I struggled to find clarity amidst turmoil within myself while gazing up at twinkling stars above illuminating our path ahead with possibilities yet unseen waiting patiently beyond horizon lines stretching infinitely before us. "Yeah," he pressed gently as if coaxing something buried deep within out into open air where light could shine upon truths hidden away too long now gathering dust inside shadows cast by choices made long ago. "I want to feel alive again," I admitted finally without hesitation, breaking free from chains shackling heart down beneath layers built up over years spent merely existing, instead truly living each day, fully embracing joy's small moments slipping through fingers unnoticed like grain sand falling. Hourglass marking time passing swiftly away before realizing how precious every second truly is. Jake nodded thoughtfully while watching ripples dance across surface water reflecting moonlight shimmering brightly overhead casting ethereal glow upon everything surrounding us reminding both of fragility inherent life itself intertwined intricately woven. Together threads fate connecting souls journeying through this world seeking understanding connection amidst chaos unfolding all around. As we continued walking hand in hand down cobblestone streets lined quaint cafes bursting warmth laughter spilling forth inviting passers-by join festivities taking place everywhere inviting exploration discovery experiences waiting patiently beckoning forth. Courage, embrace whatever came next regardless consequences looming overhead threatening, always remain unseen shadows lurking nearby ready strike when least expected. Then suddenly came realization crashing down upon me like thunder roaring through stormy skies, dark clouds gathering ominously overhead, warning signs flashing bright red alerting danger lurking close by, ready pounce upon unsuspecting hearts vulnerable exposed raw. Emotions laid bare open wide, yearning connection seeking solace amidst chaos surrounding them, threatening unravel everything built thus far, leaving nothing behind but memories fading fast, slipping away, grasp slipping, fingers losing grip, reality creeping ever closer, looming shadows waiting patiently, biding time until perfect moment arrives, strike when least expected, catching unaware, shattering illusions built carefully over years spent constructing fragile walls shielding hearts from pain, loss, betrayal experienced far too many times before. My heart raced faster than ever, pounding loudly against ribcage, reminding me urgency, necessity, confronting fears head-on, acknowledging truth buried deep down below surface, begging escape, longing freedom, breaking free chains binding soul, preventing flight, soaring high above treetops, reaching heights never dreamed possible, soaring higher than clouds, drifting effortlessly, dancing amongst stars, sparkling brightly, illuminating night sky, guiding lost souls homeward bound, finding way toward light. Shining brightly, beckoning forth courage, embrace whatever came next regardless consequences looming overhead threatening, always remain unseen shadows lurking nearby ready strike when least expected. The cool breeze off the Seine brushed against my skin as I walked beside Jake, the city of Paris pulsating with life around us. We had spent so much time together in these past few days, exploring art galleries and sharing meals in quaint cafes. Each moment felt charged with a mix of exhilaration and trepidation, a cocktail of emotions that left me dizzy. I had never anticipated this trip would lead to such an intense bond between us. "Do you think we should go back?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper as we paused near the water's edge. The sun had begun to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the city. I hesitated, my heart racing at the thought of returning to our hotel room where reality awaited us. "Not yet," I replied, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "Let's just enjoy tonight." He nodded, his gaze drifting towards the shimmering water. I could sense his uncertainty mirroring my own. We were both caught in this delicate dance of desire and guilt. But there was something intoxicating about being here with him, away from the constraints of our lives back home. We continued walking, lost in conversation that flowed effortlessly between us. Jake shared stories about his dreams, his aspirations to become an artist, to travel the world, and I found myself opening up too. I spoke about my own frustrations, how I felt suffocated by expectations and routine. It was liberating to share these thoughts with someone who seemed to understand. As night fell, we found ourselves at a small bridge overlooking the river. The lights of Paris twinkled like stars reflected on the water's surface. In that moment, everything else faded away, the weight of my marriage, the judgment from others, nothing mattered but this connection we had forged. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like if things were different?" he asked suddenly, breaking through my reverie. "What do you mean?" I turned to face him fully. "If we weren't related," he said softly, "if we could just be us." His words hung in the air between us like a promise unspoken. My heart pounded against my chest as I searched his eyes for answers that felt both thrilling and terrifying. "I think about it too," I admitted quietly. And just like that, everything shifted again. We stepped closer together until there was no space left between us. In that moment of vulnerability and clarity, we spent the night together under the Parisian sky, no labels or expectations binding us down. The dawn broke slowly as I lay awake beside him in our hotel room, the soft light filtering through sheer curtains casting patterns on the walls. A mix of warmth and dread filled me as I replayed last night's events in my mind. It felt surreal yet intoxicatingly real all at once. Jake stirred beside me, his expression peaceful yet filled with an unspoken question hanging in the air between us. "What now?" I turned away from him slightly, feeling a wave of guilt wash over me like cold water dousing flames of passion ignited only hours ago. How could we have crossed this line? What did it mean for both our futures? Hey, he murmured sleepily, reaching out to touch my arm gently. Jake, my voice faltered as I struggled to find words that wouldn't betray either of us further. We can't go back, he said softly but firmly. Not after last night. His words resonated within me, a truth neither one of us wanted to confront but couldn't ignore anymore either. The implications loomed large over our heads like storm clouds ready to break open at any moment. I know, I replied quietly, pulling away from his touch instinctively as if it burned me now instead of comforting me. A silence stretched between us before he spoke again with determination edging into his tone. Then let's figure out what this means. As much as desire surged within me at his words, an urge to explore whatever this connection was, I couldn't shake off reality's heavy hand gripping tightly around my throat, threatening silence if not careful enough with every breath taken moving forward. What about home? My voice trembled slightly despite efforts made for steadiness amid chaos swirling inside me. Each word felt like stepping onto thin ice, unsure whether it would hold or crack beneath weight added upon it all too quickly already. What if we don't go back? He proposed boldly, now staring straight into my eyes, searching for answers, perhaps even validation for feelings shared here. Feelings that should never have existed yet thrived nonetheless, fueled by hope ignited amidst shadows cast long ago, far beyond reach, but not forgotten entirely, still lingering, somehow hauntingly present, always waiting patiently, ready strike when least expected, catching unaware, shattering illusions built carefully over years spent constructing. Fragile walls shielding hearts from pain, loss, betrayal experienced far too many times before. The thought sent chills down my spine. Leaving everything behind felt both exhilarating and terrifying, all wrapped into one chaotic package filled with longing for freedom mixed alongside fear, tethered tightly, preventing escape from chains binding soul, preventing flight, soaring high above treetops, reaching heights never dreamed possible, only now realizing price paid might be far greater than anticipated. I can't just abandon everything, I finally whispered, breaking eye contact, unable to hold on to intensity radiating from him any longer, fearing what might happen next should courage fail, once more confronting demons lurking nearby, waiting patiently, biding time until perfect moment arrives. Strike when least expected, catching unaware, shattering illusions built carefully over years spent constructing fragile walls shielding hearts from pain, loss, betrayal experienced far too many times before. Jake sighed heavily beside me. Disappointment washed over his features momentarily before determination returned, igniting fire within those young eyes still filled with hope, yearning, desperately grasping onto something tangible, even if fleeting, ephemeral, fleeting moments slipping through fingers, grasping tightly, refusing let go until last breath drawn, finally released into ether, drifting freely amongst stars sparkling brightly, illuminating night sky, guiding lost souls homeward bound, finding way toward light, shining brightly, beckoning forth courage, embrace whatever came next regardless consequences looming overhead, threatening, always remain unseen, shadows lurking nearby, ready strike when least expected. Megan, he said firmly, now sitting up against pillows propped behind him, watching closely, gauging reactions, carefully weighing options laid out before both, unsure how navigate paths chosen, already winding deeper into unknown territory, fraught, danger lurking everywhere surrounding them, pressing down heavily, suffocating, slowly choking, life breath stolen away bit by bit until nothing remained except echoes, memories fading fast, slipping away forever, lost time never regained. As those thoughts raced through mind, spiraling out control faster than could comprehend, clarity struck hard, cutting through fog, clouding judgment, revealing truths hidden beneath layers built up over years spent constructing fragile walls shielding hearts, pain, loss, betrayal experienced far too many times before. What happens next? Each choice weighed heavily upon shoulders, pressing down, relentlessly dragging deeper, darkness threatening, engulf entirely, leaving no escape route available anywhere, insight gained, revealing stark reality, facing consequences looming overhead, threatening, always remain unseen, shadows lurking nearby, ready strike when least expected. The postcard lay on the table, its vibrant image of the Eiffel Tower contrasting sharply with the dullness of my reality. I picked it up, fingers trembling slightly as I turned it over. The familiar handwriting sent a jolt through me, a reminder of the life I had left behind, yet felt tethered to. Mark's words were simple, mundane even, but they held weight. He was checking in, asking about my trip, hoping I was enjoying Paris. A tight knot formed in my stomach as I read his signature at the bottom, so casual, so loving. Jake was still asleep in the other room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within me. Our nights had been filled with whispers and confessions that felt both liberating and terrifying. The bond we forged here was something I'd never anticipated but now struggled to comprehend. Every moment spent together blurred the lines of our relationship further, making it difficult to return to what was once considered normal. I wandered over to the window, gazing out at the bustling streets below. The sun cast a golden hue over Paris, illuminating couples strolling hand in hand and artists painting vibrant scenes of life unfolding before them. It seemed so far removed from my own existence back home, a life filled with obligations and expectations that suffocated any flicker of desire for change. "Do you think we could make this work?" Jake's voice echoed in my mind from last night as we shared our dreams beneath a canopy of stars. His hopeful gaze had pierced through my defenses, igniting a spark within me that I couldn't ignore. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, feeling trapped between two worlds, one that promised safety and familiarity and another that offered excitement and uncertainty. The weight of my decisions loomed large, every choice felt monumental, each one leading me further away from everything I had ever known. A knock on the door jolted me from my thoughts. My heart raced as I turned to face it. "Megan?" Jake's voice called softly from behind it. "Yeah?" I managed to reply, forcing calm into my tone. "Can I come in?" "Of course." He entered with a sleepy smile that sent warmth flooding through me. His tousled hair framed his face perfectly. He looked like an artist's muse caught in a moment of serenity. "What are you thinking about?" he asked casually as he leaned against the doorframe. "Just this trip," I replied carefully, gauging his reaction. "Are you having fun?" His eyes sparkled with genuine curiosity. "I am," I said slowly. "But there's so much to consider." Jake stepped closer, closing the distance between us with an ease that made my heart race again. "You don't have to think about anything right now," he said softly. "Just be here." His words wrapped around me like a warm embrace but also sent waves of guilt crashing over me again, the guilt of what we were doing and where it might lead us both. "I can't just ignore everything back home," I said finally, breaking eye contact as shame washed over me. "You deserve more than what you have." He placed his hand gently on mine, grounding me amidst swirling emotions. "What if this is just a fantasy?" My voice trembled despite my efforts to sound steady. "It's real for us right now," he insisted firmly but tenderly. "We can figure this out together." The sincerity in his voice ignited something deep within, a yearning for connection that felt dangerously intoxicating yet utterly reckless at the same time. Just then, another knock interrupted our moment, this one more insistent than before. "Who is it?" Jake asked warily as he stepped back slightly. "It's, just a moment." My heart raced again as dread pooled in my stomach. It could only be Mark checking in again after sending that postcard earlier. "Megan? Are you okay?" Mark's voice filtered through the door with concern lacing his tone. I exchanged a panicked glance with Jake before turning toward the door again. "I'm fine. Just taking some time." "We're going for breakfast soon," Mark continued after a brief pause. "Thought you might want to join us." My heart sank at his invitation, a reminder that reality awaited beyond this room filled with dreams and possibilities I had never dared entertain before now. "I'll be out in a minute." I called back more cheerfully than I felt inside. Jake's expression mirrored mine, An internal battle waging between desire and duty played out on both our faces as silence enveloped us once again after Mark retreated down the hall. "What do we do now?" he asked quietly after several moments passed uneasily between us. "I don't know," I admitted honestly while rubbing my temples gently as if trying to dispel all doubts clouding my mind like dark storm clouds threatening rain at any moment. He stepped closer again until our bodies nearly touched, an electric tension crackling between us even without words spoken aloud. Everything hung heavy in the air around us like unspoken promises lingering just beyond reach, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to grasp hold tightly before letting go entirely. Suddenly another thought struck hard. How would Mark react if he knew about us? Would he lash out? Would he leave? Or worse yet, would he forgive? "I need some time alone," I murmured, finally breaking free from those thoughts swirling menacingly around inside my head. Retreating back toward safety seemed like an easier path than confronting uncertainties lying ahead, waiting silently, lurking nearby, ready to strike when least expected. "Okay," Jake replied softly, stepping away reluctantly. Disappointment shadowed his features briefly before determination took hold once more, lighting up those hazel eyes filled with unyielding hopefulness even amidst despair threatening close in around both our hearts. As Jake left reluctantly, shutting door quietly behind him, leaving me alone once more, surrounded by echoes, memories shared only moments ago. The postcard, still clutched tightly within trembling fingers, served as constant reminder. Choices lay directly ahead, demanding attention whether ready to face them or not. Could love truly flourish amidst chaos threatening consume everything built up thus far? Or would fear ultimately dictate decisions made, leading down paths best left unexplored forevermore? The postcard weighed heavily in my hand, a tangible symbol of the life I was meant to return to. Each word from my husband felt like a tether, pulling me back into the familiar yet suffocating routine I had come to dread. The vibrant streets of Paris outside my window contrasted sharply with the mundane reality that awaited me back home. I needed clarity. The moment Jake had left, I was left with a void that echoed with unspoken words and unacknowledged feelings. The thrill of our connection clashed violently with the guilt festering inside me. My heart raced as I thought of him, a mixture of longing and fear swirling within me. "Megan, you have to confront this." The thought echoed in my mind like a mantra. I couldn't keep running away from what was happening between us or the life I had built with my husband. As night fell over Paris, I decided to take a walk along the Seine. The lights reflecting off the water created a shimmering path that drew me in, promising answers if only I dared to follow it. Each step felt heavier than the last as I approached the bridge where Jake and I had shared so many moments of laughter and tenderness. "Why do you keep doing this to yourself?" I muttered under my breath, scolding myself for allowing things to escalate so far without considering the consequences. The cool breeze swept through my hair, carrying whispers of our shared secrets, moments that felt both exhilarating and wrong. Just as I reached the middle of the bridge, my phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Jake. "Meet me at Café de Flore? We need to talk." My heart raced at his request. Did he sense my turmoil? Was he feeling the weight of our decision as heavily as I was? A part of me wanted to run toward him, another part wanted to turn back and pretend none of this ever happened. With trembling hands, I typed back a quick acknowledgement before making my way toward the cafe. The streets were alive with laughter and music, couples strolled by hand in hand, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Arriving at Café de Flore felt surreal. The air was thick with rich coffee aromas and warm pastries, a stark contrast to the cold uncertainty gnawing at my insides. Jake was already seated at a corner table, his expression unreadable as he looked up at me. "Hey," he said softly, gesturing for me to sit down. "Hey," I replied, forcing a smile despite the heaviness pressing down on my chest. We exchanged small talk about our day, art exhibits we had visited separately, but it felt hollow against the gravity of what loomed between us. Finally, Jake broke through our polite chatter. I can't stop thinking about us, he confessed, his eyes searching mine for understanding. I swallowed hard, knowing full well what those words meant but terrified of where they might lead us next. Jake, we can't just ignore everything else. He leaned forward slightly, his intensity drawing me in despite myself. But what if everything else doesn't matter? What if we could be happy together? The question hung in the air like an uninvited guest at a party, uncomfortable yet impossible to dismiss. My mind raced through all that could go wrong, lives disrupted, hearts broken, a cascade of chaos waiting just beyond this moment. What are you saying? My voice came out steadier than I felt. I'm saying, he paused for effect, that maybe we're meant for more than this. He gestured vaguely around us as if encompassing not just our surroundings but our lives back home too. His words sent shivers down my spine, both thrilling and terrifying all at once. Jake. Before I could finish my thought or pull away from his magnetic presence, he reached across the table and took my hand in his own, warmth radiating from his touch that sent sparks through every nerve ending in my body. We kissed, echoed in my mind like an anthem from days past when everything seemed simpler, the thrill of discovery tinged now with desperation for connection amidst uncertainty. Suddenly, Jake's phone buzzed on the table between us, a stark reminder of reality intruding upon our momentary bubble. He glanced down at it before meeting my gaze again with urgency etched across his features. It's just, he began but didn't finish as he hesitated over whether or not to check it. Maybe you should, I suggested softly, perhaps it would provide some grounding amid our spiraling emotions, even if only briefly. He nodded reluctantly and picked up his phone while maintaining eye contact with me, a silent promise lingering between us even as distractions threatened its fragile existence. As he read whatever message had come through, a frown creased his brow. I felt an unsettling sense creeping into our space. Something was off about this interruption that made anxiety coil tightly within me again. Everything okay? My voice betrayed concern despite wanting desperately not to show it. He sighed deeply before responding slowly, it's just, my dad is coming here tomorrow. The words hit like ice water splashing against skin, shock rippling through every part of me as reality crashed back down on what we were trying so desperately to escape from together. Family obligations looming large over fragile dreams born amidst Parisian nights filled with stolen moments and whispered promises yet unfulfilled. What does that mean? My voice trembled slightly even though I tried hard not to let panic seep into it too much. It wasn't fair for him or us right now given how precarious everything already felt hanging by threads barely holding on. It means, he'll want answers. His eyes darkened slightly as though anticipating confrontation rather than reconciliation ahead, and suddenly all those vibrant colors surrounding us dulled into shades grayer than before. I pulled away instinctively, suddenly overwhelmed by fear that threatened any semblance of clarity remaining within reach after everything we'd shared thus far. We can't keep doing this, came out almost as a whisper rather than proclamation intended, but truth hung heavy between us nonetheless, weighing down hopes once buoyant now sinking fast beneath waves crashing relentlessly against shores previously untouched. Jake nodded solemnly but didn't pull away either, instead holding firm onto tentative connections still existing despite shadows creeping ever closer, threatening engulfing light illuminating paths taken thus far leading toward uncertain futures ahead. As silence enveloped us again, hearts racing under pressure mounting high above, we both knew something pivotal lay ahead waiting just out beyond horizon, beckoning each step taken forward into unknown depths, unfurling their secrets one by one until all choices laid bare upon altar sacrifice demanded by desires long buried beneath layers. Time passed swiftly since first ignited flames sparked life anew once more. The bridge loomed before us, an archway of stone and iron connecting the two banks of the Seine. The late afternoon sun cast a warm glow over everything, but the chill in my heart was unmistakable. Jake stood beside me, his presence both a comfort and a source of turmoil. We had shared so much in these past few days, yet now it felt like we were teetering on the edge of a precipice. I glanced at him, his brow furrowed with worry. "What are we doing, Megan?" he asked softly, breaking the silence that had settled between us like a thick fog. His voice was laced with uncertainty, mirroring my own doubts. "I don't know," I admitted, my throat tight. The weight of our choices pressed heavily upon me. I feel alive here." "But at what cost?" he countered, his eyes searching mine for answers I didn't have. The thrill of our connection pulsed through me, yet it was tangled with fear and guilt that threatened to unravel everything. Just then, I spotted a familiar figure approaching from across the bridge, my husband. My heart sank as he drew closer, his expression unreadable but tense. Panic surged through me as I realized how precarious our situation had become. "Megan," he called out, urgency in his voice. "We need to talk." Jake's body stiffened beside me. I could feel the tension radiating from him like heat off pavement in summer. "What do we do?" he whispered urgently. "Just stay calm," I replied instinctively, though my own heart raced with dread. This was it, the moment where everything could shatter into pieces. My husband reached us, breathless and clearly agitated. "I've been looking for you," he said sharply, his gaze darting between Jake and me as if trying to piece together the puzzle laid out before him. "What's going on?" I asked, feigning innocence while an inner storm raged within me. "I saw you two together earlier," he said bluntly, his voice rising slightly as confusion morphed into anger. "What were you thinking?" The accusation hung in the air like a heavy cloud threatening to burst. "We were just sightseeing," I replied defensively, though even I could hear how hollow my words sounded. "Sightseeing?" He scoffed incredulously. "You're holding hands on a bridge in Paris. This isn't just sightseeing." Jake shifted uncomfortably next to me. I could see the conflict written across his face, a mix of loyalty to me and fear of my husband's wrath. "Megan," my husband continued, his tone softening slightly but still edged with frustration. "You can't keep pretending that nothing is happening here." I opened my mouth to respond but found no words came forth. All that filled my mind were memories of stolen kisses and shared secrets beneath Parisian skies, each moment now tainted by this confrontation. "I think we should go home," Jake finally spoke up, breaking the tension that had coiled tightly around us like barbed wire. "Home?" My husband looked at Jake incredulously before turning back to me with narrowed eyes. "Is that what you want?" The question hung heavy in the air between us, an unspoken ultimatum wrapped in layers of emotion and expectation. My heart raced as I contemplated the implications. This was not just about returning home but about choosing between two lives that felt irreconcilable now more than ever. My voice faltered as I tried to find clarity amid chaos swirling within me. "Megan," Jake urged quietly beside me, his hand brushing against mine, a gesture both comforting and electrifying all at once, reminding me of what we had built together during this trip. But then my husband stepped forward again. His presence loomed large over us both as if trying to reclaim something lost amidst this emotional upheaval. "You need to decide now." The urgency in his voice snapped something inside me into focus. It was time for truth over illusion, even if it meant confronting painful realities head-on. "I don't want to go back to how things were," I said finally, each word tasting bitter on my tongue but necessary nonetheless, a declaration against complacency that had suffocated me for years. Silence enveloped us again, heavy and suffocating, as those words settled into the space between us like shards of glass waiting for someone to step on them first. My husband's face paled slightly, disbelief washed over him before anger reignited behind those stormy eyes once more, a whirlwind brewing beneath surface calm threatening eruption any second now if pushed further beyond limits already tested too far. "What are you saying?" His voice trembled slightly with barely contained rage mixed with hurt, every syllable cutting deeper than intended. "I'm saying," the words caught in my throat again as realization hit hard, this wasn't just about freedom anymore, it was about choosing who mattered most, family or desire. As if sensing where this conversation might lead us next, Jake squeezed my hand tighter, still reminding me silently we weren't alone even amidst chaos unfolding around us. But then another twist emerged unexpectedly from shadows lurking behind corners unseen. A figure appeared at far end of bridge. A stranger approaching swiftly toward our trio gathered there under fading light, casting long shadows across cobblestones beneath feet planted firmly upon ground below. Something instinctual flared within me. A sudden sense of foreboding creeping up spine, sending chills racing through veins, coursing faster than heartbeat, pounding loudly, echoing thoughts spiraling wildly out control, unable grasp, meaning hidden behind visage, approaching ever closer toward confrontation looming ahead. Megan. My husband shouted again, breaking through haze, clouding judgment, forcing focus back onto reality unfolding right before eyes, unable look away from inevitable collision course set forth. In that moment, the world narrowed down into sharp focus. Choices made would resonate far beyond mere vacation, memories blurred together amidst excitement explored while wandering streets filled vibrant colors, life bursting forth everywhere around us. Yet standing there upon edge, bridge overlooking Seine shimmering below, reflecting hues, sunset painting sky, orange pinks, blues melding together beautifully yet contrasting starkly against turmoil brewing, hearts caught between longing desires, unfulfilled, shackled by duty, expectations holding tightly onto past, refusing let go despite knowing needed, move forward somehow despite pain, awaiting ahead, waiting patiently, ready strike when least expected. And then everything fell silent once more. The stranger stepped closer, revealing familiar features etched deeply within memory, engraved forevermore, marking turning point, irrevocably altering paths taken, leading toward uncertain futures ahead. The air grew thick with tension as Jake's eyes widened, the weight of our actions crashing down upon us. His face, once lit with youthful exuberance, now mirrored my own turmoil. The bridge, once a picturesque backdrop to our stolen moments, felt like a prison, the Seine flowing beneath us like a reminder of the choices we had made. Megan, he whispered, his voice barely audible above the distant sounds of Parisian life. What do we do now? I opened my mouth to respond, but words eluded me. My heart raced as I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see my husband's familiar figure emerging from the shadows. The thought sent a chill through me. I had been living in a dream that was quickly unraveling. Can we just go back? Jake suggested, desperation creeping into his tone. Pretend this never happened? But it wasn't that simple. The connection we forged felt too real to dismiss. Paris had awakened something in me that I thought was lost forever, a yearning for connection and understanding that I had craved for years. Yet here I stood on the precipice of everything I held dear, teetering between two worlds. Jake, I began, but my voice faltered as another wave of doubt washed over me. We can't just erase what happened. His brow furrowed as he stepped closer, searching my face for answers I didn't have. But what about your marriage? What about everything back home? The mention of home struck a chord deep within me, stirring feelings of guilt and obligation that clashed violently with my desires. My mind raced back to Chicago, the art festivals where laughter echoed through crowded streets and the mundane dinners at home where silence wrapped around us like a shroud. I don't know, I admitted finally, feeling raw and exposed under his gaze. I feel trapped. The words hung heavy in the air between us, an admission of vulnerability that shifted something in Jake's expression. He reached out tentatively, brushing his fingers against mine, a gesture that ignited sparks along my skin. Megan, he said softly, we can figure this out together. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the moment like glass shattering on concrete, my husband's voice echoing across the bridge. Megan. There you are. Panic surged through me as I turned to see him approaching with purpose. My heart dropped into my stomach as dread settled in. He must have sensed something was off during our trip or perhaps even suspected more than he let on. Jake. I hissed urgently, pulling away from him instinctively as if creating distance could somehow shield us from the impending storm. What do we do? He asked again, his eyes darting between me and my husband who was now only steps away. Act normal, I urged quietly, forcing a smile onto my face despite the chaos swirling inside. Just act normal. Megan. My husband called again as he reached us, his brow furrowed with concern mixed with irritation. I've been looking everywhere for you. I took a deep breath and turned fully to face him. I was just enjoying the view. He glanced at Jake briefly before focusing on me again, his expression shifting subtly from worry to suspicion. You shouldn't wander off alone in a city like this. Jake shifted awkwardly beside me while I tried to maintain composure under my husband's scrutinizing gaze. I'm fine, I replied too quickly, forcing confidence into my tone despite feeling anything but secure. He studied me for another moment before nodding slowly but didn't seem convinced. Let's head back to the hotel, it's getting late. As we started walking together, my husband on one side and Jake on the other, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being caught in an intricate web spun from secrets and lies. The vibrant streets of Paris blurred around us. They felt less inviting now and more like a stage where our true selves were laid bare. The silence stretched uncomfortably between us until Jake broke it softly. Are you okay? His concern felt genuine yet painfully misplaced given our circumstances. How could any of this be okay? I'm fine, I repeated mechanically while fighting back tears threatening to spill over at any moment. We made our way through winding streets filled with laughter and music echoing from nearby cafes, a stark contrast to our own somber trio trudging along silently like ghosts haunting their pasts. Once inside our hotel room, an elegant space decorated with Parisian charm, I closed the door behind us and leaned against it for support as if it could shield me from reality crashing down around me. My husband turned toward me immediately, his expression shifting from irritation to something softer yet still laced with concern. Megan. Are you sure everything is all right? I'm just tired, I replied quickly before glancing over at Jake who stood awkwardly by the window gazing out into the night sky filled with stars shimmering above, a sight so beautiful yet so far removed from what lay ahead. Let's get some rest, my husband suggested after studying both of us closely as if trying to piece together an unsolvable puzzle. As he moved toward the bed where our lives intertwined so seamlessly until now, I felt Jake's eyes linger on me one last time before he stepped away into shadows cast by dim hotel lights illuminating corners filled with uncertainty and unspoken words hanging heavily in air around us. Hours later, after feigning sleep beneath layers of blankets, I lay wide awake staring at ceiling plastered white above while thoughts raced through mind uninvited. What would happen when we returned home? Would everything change irrevocably? Suddenly, the shrill ring of my phone shattered stillness surrounding me, the sound slicing through darkness like lightning illuminating stormy skies outside, and dread pooled within that knowing it could be anything, or anyone. Gripping tightly onto phone resting beside pillow, I hesitated before answering, heart pounding wildly against ribcage echoing uncertainty coursing through veins poised on edge ready confront whatever awaited beyond line connecting worlds torn apart by choices made under city lights flickering memories long buried beneath layers disappointment. Megan? The voice crackled through, the tone urgent enough sending chills racing down spine awakening every fear lurking deep within shadows waiting patiently ready strike when least expected leaving no room for escape only consequences looming ahead.